Alright everyone, generally speaking I've been favorable towards the Trump administration. Over the last weeks it's been a little bit more hit or miss, but, generally. But there's one thing that I absolutely would never support, and that's the fact that John Bolton happens to be back working with the executive branch. I see that as a rather bad sign of maybe the direction that Trump is going to go on foreign policy. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that Bolton being there is essentially, hey, I need a tough guy to talk tough on tariffs with China, and that's basically it. Maybe it's a throwaway to like the warmongers like the John McCains, because they want to have more hawks around Trump, I think. So try to calm John McCain down, get him back aboard to negotiate DACA or something. Trump's like, oh, fuck it, John. You obviously want war with Iran, so I'm gonna pretend that I'm willing to listen to the idea. I'll just have Bolton aboard, and I'm gonna tell Bolton when he first comes in, there won't be any wars, but you can talk tough. You can pretend that there will be wars, because then John, hopefully he will get off my ass. So hopefully that's the direction he's going in. I'll remain skeptical of that though, because anytime Bolton shows up, there seems to be a war, or at least warmongering rhetoric. It's a big problem. But Fox News was trying to defend him on that. It's funny, Fox News, they're such cowards. And keep in mind, Fox is just another corporate aspect of the media, the same as a CNN or an MSNBC. The fact that they pretend to be conservative doesn't mean that these people aren't all rich stuffed shirts that live in Manhattan penthouses, okay? Even Trump is basically a business Democrat. He can pretend to be conservative all day long. He's not a conservative. Bill O'Reilly can pretend. The only thing Bill O'Reilly was ever conservative on is, hey, I don't want the government taking so much of my money because I have an 8-figure salary. That's essentially what it boiled down to. He talked a big game and pretended to care. Like back during the dawn, I can remember this. We're talking back in the 2000s. We're not talking more recently, some time ago. I can remember Bill O'Reilly, he was like a total hawk when it came to gay marriage. He's like, oh, it's a Christian nation thing. We're religious. This will displease Jesus and cause, problems, societal breakdown and everything. He very quickly stopped talking about that once it became clear that the shtick was up and it was no longer popular to have those opinions. Because he never had them in the first place. I mean, he probably didn't fucking give a shit. Meanwhile, he was doing all sorts of weird creepy sexual stuff, allegedly. Yet he was going to sit there and pretend to be Mr. Family Man himself. Oh yeah, those gays will destroy the nation. Meanwhile, what's he doing? It's projection, really. When I see like all these others on Fox, it's even funnier to see like some of the newscasters on there, insult the rest of them. It is funny to see the chaos at Fox. It really has been. It's even funnier to see the fact that they're still #1, and competing now with MSNBC, and like their main former competitor, CNN, is way down at the bottom of the heap now. Like their audience is even older. Like their average audience member, I guess, is 90 at this point. They're really having a hard time. But Fox trying to defend the appointment of Bolton. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, so Fox News has regressed from, briefly kind of wanted to cast itself as vaguely anti-establishmentarian to embracing the warmonger neocon himself. It's like they would probably, at this point, they'd probably defend him if he appointed Dick Cheney to that position. Oh yeah, we're so glad to have him back working with the White House. It's such a wonderful time. It's basically what Fox does. But they like war, because war is good news for the news. War is great for them because they can show you lurid depictions of combat, and they can go over there, free ticket to Iraq, I guess, and they can talk about all the wonderful things, all the wonderful weapons, and how much they love the troops. It basically becomes, especially with Fox, although the other networks kind of do this too, when they're going over to cover like foreign combat, like they did this in Iraq, it basically becomes a contest to see which journalist can fit "I love the troops so much" as many times as possible, the maximum number of times into their news delivery. Oh, I love the troops. God bless America. Oh, what wonderful young brave men and women. Sorry we got you over here getting shot at, but we love you. Do the dirty work we would never do because we're fucking cowards. Say all of these again, Manhattan socialites, basically. And this is all the networks. Fox doesn't get a pass. A lot of people think I'm like an apologist for conservative media or something. Not really conservative, #1. They don't have a problem with, look, the tax cut, they're like, they're applauding that and stuff, but it's like, yeah, but that's a no-brainer. Even some people on the left are going to end up applauding that. They're like the blue dog Democrats up in the Rust Belt probably fucking love Trump right now. I can't wait to see more polling from that as time moves on and the jobs come back and people realize how much money they're going to save. But at the same time, Fox pretending it's conservative and then saying, oh, well, we're going to have Bolton there, the dude who helps oversee trillions being wasted on basically nothing. Nation building, as W called it, which never built a nation. Now, we're going to, yeah, wasting money is great. Meanwhile, in Hypocrisy 2.0, we've got coverage of the deficit finally. Finally, Being Liberal cares again about debt. And when I pointed this out, how funny it was that as soon as Trump was elected, all of a sudden it became an issue again. Like when Obama was, when W was the president, the debt was a problem, according to these people. It was reckless spending, according to Obama. Obama gets into office, all of a sudden debt's not really a problem. Trump takes office, all of a sudden it's a problem again. Then I had some moron on there saying, yeah, but Obama was, the Democrats try to create, a positive economy, essentially. You have income coming in faster, the deficit begins to decline, which isn't true. Obama never did that. Obama reigned over a massive increase in total debt spending. Only in the last couple of years in office, and only because of the private action of the economy, really did that reverse trend. But I mean, it's still massive amount of deficit. Plus, if Trump, at the same time, they're talking about the deficit being important. Shrinking the deficit, I guess, to them is a good thing. Okay, you want a surplus economy. But yet you won't let Trump cut so much as a penny of spending. So you're not going to get that. It's just not going to happen. It wouldn't matter if he reigned over a tax increase. It still wouldn't balance the budget. He could have increased the tax rate by several points instead of decreasing it. It wouldn't have done anything. We'd still have deficit spending. So what the fuck is the point? You're talking about how great a positive economy is. They're talking about how great it is to have a surplus, and it's just not going to happen. It's never going to happen until you cut spending, which is, you need Republicans to cut spending, although they typically don't. They talk a big game when they're running for election. Oh yeah, I'll get rid of this, I'll get rid of that. We need to decrease the budgets of these bureaus. We need to restrain ourselves. We're spending more than we take in. It's a no-brainer. If you ran your household the way the government runs the economy, your household wouldn't exist for very long. I think the bank would at some point come along, the tax man would come and say, what the fuck? Yeah, you gotta owe me a little bit of money now at this point too. Oh, well, we don't have any money. Whoops, well, I guess you don't have a house either then, do you? Yeah, we're gonna lose our country at some point if we don't tackle these issues, but it's very funny to see them suddenly give them importance. The Democrats did not care for 8 years about the deficit. They did not care for 8 years about violence overseas. They did not care for 8 years about opaque government. All of a sudden, they matter again. Meanwhile, the Republicans exonerated W for that bullshit, lambasted Obama for doing the same thing, and now all of a sudden, we have Fox saying it's a good thing, it's okay that Bolton's back in office. No, it's not okay that Bolton's back in office. Stop being total hypocrite sellouts, establishmentarian goons for once, and you'd be willing to admit that to people. You'd be honest enough to admit it. By the way, I was very happy the other day when Artie Lang weighed in on his thoughts on the gun control march, which is what it is. It's not a march for our lives. It's a march of a bunch of busybodies, like the sort of people who will snoop around in your medicine cabinet at a birthday party in order to find out what kind of things you take, what kind of problems you have. It's just a bunch of moral haranguing church wives, basically. Pearl clutchers, and then people that are ignorant. People that don't understand the history of gun control begins with Jim Crow in this country, with the Crookshank decision. People who don't understand that usually when governments are tyrannical, as they're always saying about our government, you want more weapons in civilian hands. But they're saying that people that go overseas and blow up 500,000 people are more to be trusted with heavy firepower than the average citizen, and that the NRA sponsors terror or something. A bunch of morons. I can't wait to weigh in on that. That's about all. Peace out.